Hi, this is John, and welcome to another edition of Statistics Tell a Story. Well, last week wasn't so good. It was as bad as it gets, 0-5 against the spread, but there's a long season to go, and let's see if we can right the ship this week. My first pick is New England, plus 3.5 against the Raiders, the Las Vegas Raiders. This game actually has all the ingredients, in my opinion, both model-driven and technical indicators-driven. And as most of you know, or some of you may know, New England actually, Bill Belichick suffered his two worst losses ever the last 2 weeks. So they were embarrassed. So one of two things might happen. Some people think that New England's just falling apart. You know, these are professional athletes. I just don't care how old Bill Belichick is. He's 72. You know, he still has enough fire that he's going to have his team ready. He's also coaching against his old offensive coordinator, Josh McDaniels, who I think is one of the worst coaches in football. And in fact, last week he got away with making a bad decision, as he has made several bad decisions when it comes to whether to kick a field goal or to go for it. But either way, I give New England a 59% chance of covering at 3.5 points. That's my first selection. Tampa Bay is getting 3.5 points against Detroit. That is my second selection at 56%. Baker Mayfield is having a surprisingly decent year. Detroit certainly is having a good year, but with Tampa Bay's defense, I believe they can keep it close. 3.5 points is a big difference than 2 or 2.5 for 3 points. So they're my second selection at 56%. Next selection, the Carolina Panthers. They're getting 13.5 points, and they're playing the Miami Dolphins. Carolina is the only winless team at 0-5. Very often winless teams at this point of the season or later, they're a little bit inflated when they're getting points. Miami might be a little bit overinflated at this point. They've been very great on offense, but 13.5 points, I think Carolina, there's some what others call hidden vigorish with this winless team, and 13.5 points I think is a little bit too many. At 55%, I like Carolina. The Saints are my fourth pick at 54%. They are giving 1.5 points to the Houston Texans. Houston, C.J. Stroud, the rookie quarterback for Houston, he's had about as impressive a 5-game start as you can have as a rookie. However, the Saints are beginning to find it. I'm not sure I like their head coach, Dennis Allen, very much, but their defense has been very good, and I like them to win by maybe a field goal or more. And then finally, also at 54%, the Bills giving 14.5 points against the Giants. I usually don't like to give that many points in any game at any point of the season, let alone 14.5 as opposed to, say, 13.5, because that's a half point extra, more than 2 touchdowns. However, the Bills tend to play volatile games with Josh Allen, so they are on the winning side of a lot of blowouts. They lost last week in London to Jacksonville, so I think they're going to be stomping mad again. The Giants, even though one can argue they should be stomping mad, they're horrible. Their offensive line is very bad. They've given up 30 sacks in 5 games, which I believe is the most ever to start an NFL season. So their offensive line is in shambles. Daniel Jones is out. I think my model has the Bills winning by 20 points, including the injuries. So I have that at 54%. That's my fifth pick. Finally, there's one game I want to mention that is not one of my selections. It's actually a game that I bet, and this will happen from time to time. And the reason I did not have it as one of my selections is because these spots, at least on this particular contest, is they are static, so to speak, meaning they come out, I think it's Tuesday evening or Wednesday morning, and they stay that way. The Browns are getting 9.5 points, at least, or 9.5 or 10, at least at most sports books right now, against the 49ers, which in my opinion is too many points. The Browns defense has been as good as it gets through 5 weeks. So I actually put a little bit of money on the Browns at 9.5 points. However, the contest has them only at 5.5 points. And I believe the reason for the disparity is because at that point, they weren't sure who the quarterback was going to be. Since then, I believe their backup has been announced, P.J. Walker or some unknown from the XFL. I don't think that's going to matter that much. 9.5 points is just too many points to give this Browns defense. So I did not attach a probability to it. That would have probably been my 6th pick, but I wasn't about to take them with 5.5 points when the actual spot was 9.5 points. So anyway, those are the 5 selections, and I will see you next week on Statistics Tell a Story. Thank you.